this little bastard.
Oh my god.
Hi everyone, today you're here with Doug, aka The Real Link, and this video is going to show the difference between Beppa's Fraps and NVIDIA's Shadowplay. For those of us who have dabbled in PC gaming for any length of time, short of doing streaming such as through Twitch, everyone knows that Fraps has been the de facto standard of capturing gameplay, aside from a few other programs out there that exist. In more recent times, NVIDIA and AMD have both offered counter solutions through their Gaming Evolved and GeForce Experience programs to allow game capturing of our best gameplay moments. I'll be doing a brief walkthrough of both programs and then a more in-depth gaming comparison as to which tool is better for you. Since I don't happen to have any AMD hardware available, the focus today is between Fraps and Shadowplay. The goal of this video for the viewer today is hopefully threefold, one of which is to show overall game quality between Fraps and Shadowplay. The second is to show finer detail where codec, compression, and file size can make a difference in showing finer details such as that found in text, gaming logs, journals, and so forth. The third is found to show either a direct or indirect comparison of frame rate impact by using Fraps versus Shadowplay. Finally, I'll be doing a quick walkthrough of both programs just to show the users the options available. While the video is quite long due to compiling lots of game footage together, please feel free to watch the beginning and end and scrub at your leisure. Finally, as a brief note, while I do endeavor to get most games in-game frame rate or capturing methods shown, not all games have an in-game built-in FPS meter. For this, I'll simply have to rely on what I've gamed through on multiple times and give you a feedback directly as to what I saw and how much the performance was impacted by playing the game and also running Fraps. For the actual capturing, all games have had temporary files first written to SSD and then rewritten out to a Western Digital 2TB 7200 RPM hard drive. While the drive is quite full, it is fully defragged and should allow streaming of continuous large capture files just fine. So without further ado, let's start taking a look through the programs and options that are available in both. For Fraps, I'm only using version 3.5.9. I found it incredibly stable and it works nearly flawlessly. I'm aware, I believe in 3.5.99, that the Monitor to Aero Desktop DWM version, which allows desktop capture, is fixed, because currently in this version it's broken, and so as you can probably guess, I am recording the desktop very fluently with Shadowplay at the moment. For the FPS option, I never leave anything toggled on with the benchmark, so that's all disabled. Normally, before Shadowplay, I would leave my overlay in the left-hand corner and leave hotkey to off. This way I could always see the 60 or whatever my frame rate was in-game and tell that Fraps is indeed loaded and running. For the movie tab, I really like to keep quality exceptionally high, as you can tell from probably any of my other YouTube videos. I always encode at 60 frames a second, split movie every 4 GB, record sound, record mic even though I come through very quiet, and go from there. Force lossless creates gargantuan data rates and is significantly more intensive than even regular capture. I have used it sparingly and experimentally or for very low frame rate options where I'm capturing over extended durations of time. It is useful to have, but I can't imagine using lossless to capture on a regular basis short of capturing to an SSD array. And for screenshots, feel free to use or not use the option for capturing your in-game screenshots. Quality is decent, not exceptional, but they are compressed JPEGs and that's what you get. For Shadowplay, it's a little more complicated. In order to use Shadowplay, you have to install NVIDIA's GeForce Experience. This makes sense as the company would like you to think of NVIDIA holistically, which makes sense for any gaming company. First you install GeForce, and then you install after the experience, then you install Shadowplay as a separate program. It's all managed through the GeForce Experience control panel. Obviously this is a little more in-depth in terms of tying in to NVIDIA's ethos and gaming and all that, and analyzes the games you have, the best profiles, preferences, and then the Shadowplay option. You click this and turn it on. Well, everything here, as you can see, is grayed out because I'm recording. I can go through the options very briefly here for you, aside from showing profiles. It works very well with just configuring your own settings, since I don't happen to have lots of profiles or lots of games analyzed through NVIDIA as to what I'm playing. Just setting them up manually, like Fraps, works totally fine. The camera I have turned off. The status indicator is a small camera eyeball-looking icon in green to the left of your frame rate showing your recording, and you can pick what corner and what size, just similar to Fraps. For FPS counter, it's a small thin FPS number in green, just like Fraps, except green, to more or less show your FPS. Now microphone you can always toggle between always on and push to talk, much like Fraps settings, and here you can have all the other options available in Shadowplay. Now I don't happen to use the shadow recording, where it's record 20 minutes of previous gameplay silently and then dump it all, or anything like that. I really like to use the program just like how I used Fraps, because so far Fraps has worked exceptionally well. So for the most part I keep it very simple. I activate push to talk. FPS on and off could be useful, but more so here, manual recording off and on, and then your directories. For regular gaming, I switch the mic back to push to talk, so of course I'm obviously not always recording anything I say in the mic. For capturing the desktop, it is also incredibly easy. Simply tick the box saying allow desktop capture, and the video card will capture, literally, anything through the desktop. I found it to be working flawlessly and far better than anything I've ever been able to do through Fraps. It will capture everything from your browser to music player to Explorer to any other window you have open. NVIDIA Shadowplay shouldn't also crash if you happen to be alt-tabbing out of a game to Windows and back. It will literally copy everything that you're seeing from your display output from the card into its buffer. Since Shadowplay is still a beta and obviously all the modes here are grayed out when I'm actually capturing, please reference the following screenshots and I'll describe what all these boxes show once available when you're paused. For the first mode, there's simply a variance of shadow or manual modes that allow you to allow the frame buffer to save previous gameplay data and record silently, or a full manual mode, which is toggle start and stop. There's also a torch option, which I believe is in beta and is coming in a while. I don't think it's available yet, nor have I happened to have tried it. The quality button just allows some various presets and the custom setting, which is nice to see very fleshed out. The resolution drops from in-game to 1080p, 720p, and so on. Frame rate right now is only 30 and 60 frames a second, and bit rate for megabits per second. Well, even 50 megabits per second is nowhere near the data rates compared to Fraps, whether in regular mode or lossless. For pre-made H.264 encoding, keep in mind for web, most things don't seem to generally be encoded past, say, 12 to 16 to 20 megabits per second, or maybe 20 to 30. In all my previous videos using Fraps, I had always done an aggressive preset of 30 to 35 target megabits per second. Here, it's very easy to set to 50 megabits per second to retain the highest quality possible and still not be too gargantuan on file size. Finally, in lieu of changing your game settings in-game, or if the game doesn't happen to allow you to change settings, you can capture with in-game audio, audio and mic, or no sound at all. Finally, before I start to show footage from different games, keep in mind here are the video settings I use for both programs. Both are generally high quality, as high bitrate as possible at 60 frames a second. Keep in mind I'm choosing to not use Fraps Force Lossless RGB capture, since that makes a regular 30 to 50 second long 4GB file turn into a 4GB file roughly every 5 to 10 seconds. It's such high bitrate at about 300 to 330 megabytes per second that purely RAID 0 or SSD capture as your target device is required. As such, I've only used it for maybe low frame rate or other exceptional circumstances to test out quality. In conclusion, before I go and show you guys all of the game footage I've assembled over the past few days, keep in mind I'll again be referencing the 3 points I mentioned earlier. The first is just overall quality between Fraps and Shadowplay. The second is finer detail on games that have things like chat logs, journals, and other crisp, fine detail and text. And the final is to see if capturing between Fraps and Shadowplay causes any noticeable performance impact on the game. As a final note, please keep in mind that while I run a low desktop resolution and have upscaled it in video editing, all the games are at 1920 by 1200 at native resolution to the monitor.
Unless you'd rather walk, you know, on foot. Hope to see you again sometime.
Aion's greatest gift to the weary traveler. I wish I could travel more.
rather walk. You know, on foot. Hope to see you again sometime.
Aion's greatest gift to the weary traveler.
you for watching part 1 of our Fraps vs Shadowplay comparison. Please jump to part 2, where you can see more game footage.